This is a time tonight to celebrate, and I'm going to turn the stage over to one of our board members, one of our founding board members, Sandra Gutierrez, whose husband Luis isn't here tonight, but is regularly in attendance with us in these events. And Sandra has been on the board since the school started, but also has two daughters who graduated from Cary Academy, Allie in 04 and Nikki in 06. And she's going to share some remembrances of the history and the people that make Cary Academy so special. So, Sandra, thank you.
I can't believe I'm here standing with you celebrating 20 years of Cary Academy. Looking back, it's really hard to believe that it has been 20 years since that crisp fall morning when our kids first came to school in 1997 when the doors opened. I certainly don't feel any older. Well, maybe a little, but not that old. I don't know how many of you in this room were there that very first day. Can you raise your hands if you were there that first day? And I'm not sure how many of you actually remember when the site where Cary Academy stands today looked just like a mound of red clay, where trackers and people worked at the speed of light to create buildings in less than a year so that our school could start on time. Since its inception, Cary Academy has been a place where great things happen, even when some people think it can't be done. And that was the case of children applying to school and there was nothing there, and a year later they were sitting in classrooms at Cary Academy. In 1996, before any of the buildings were built, just when our founders and the Goodnights and the Sauls announced the establishment of our school, a meeting for curious parents and hopeful students was held in the SAS auditorium. That afternoon, a small group of faculty and administrators presented what Cary's first private school was going to be like. Those of us present that afternoon had no idea what the buildings were going to look like or what kind of school it was going to be. However, I can tell you that my husband Luis and I were very first drawn because we knew that a school started by the Goodnights and the Sauls had a potential of being something really great. That day we heard of a school in which humanities and math, sciences, art, and sports would play a part in the education geared for the whole student. A place where technology would be first class and where our children would thrive as individuals. Today, Cary Academy has met and surpassed all of those promises. However, back then, it wasn't the assurance of magnificent buildings with labs or the description of a curriculum still in the making. Like I said, there weren't any buildings. There wasn't even a paper plan for us to look at. It was all a utopia, if you will, a dream. So that's not what impressed us. The quality of the faculty and the staff and the administrators that we met that day, that is what convinced us that Cary Academy would be the best investment in our daughter's education. Of course, we wanted them, to join a community where discovery, innovation, collaboration, and excellence would be at the base of their education. But it was the first members of the faculty and staff who first captured our hearts and our attention and who filled us with hope that this school would indeed be what it promised to be. I can remember clearly when at the end of that presentation, our daughter Alessandra, who was a very introverted 10-year-old, she was very shy before Cary Academy, was so inspired that she walked straight up to Marty Jenkins and said, "Hi, I'm Allie. I want to come to your school. I don't have any classes tomorrow. Can you please test me?" There was no testing available. No one had organized any testing yet. They had the plans to start testing students. But Marty made arrangements, and lo and behold, the next day Allie was testing for admittance in a little janitorial room that served that day as an impromptu testing area in one of the SAS buildings. Ever since, the course of our daughter's education was changed forever. I can't tell you the difference that Cary Academy has made in their lives. And just like we have our story, I have heard countless stories throughout the years of other families like ours who are equally enthralled with the possibility of what the school could offer their children, and who had similar encounters with many of you in this room. That first day of school in 1997, Alessandra became a member of the very first class that would go through the entire 6th through 12th year program at Cary Academy. In fact, if you walk to the quad and you stand next to the library, you will see a plaque with the name of all of the founding students in that class. So go by one day and see the kids that were there. Maybe we'll see them bring their kids and grandkids in future generations. These were the pioneers. They were the kids. The kids who embodied the hope that Cary Academy would be what our founders, faculty, staff, and parents believed it could be. We all took a chance together because we all shared in the same dream. And believe it or not, by the time her sister Nikki joined the school 2 years later, Cary Academy had already garnered a reputation for being an avant-garde and state-of-the-art school. And that was just the beginning. If you ask Allie what she remembers most of her first year, she'll tell you that she had to walk under scaffolding to get all the way from the middle school building to the cafeteria. Y'all remember that? That one of her teachers, Jennifer Briggs, changed her name legally to Obi-Wan Kenobi in order to win a contest. She remembers that she made many friends, discovered the joy of learning, and that Cary Academy students work hard. This weekend, our family got together, and Allie came all the way from Charlotte. She's a practicing dentist there now. And Nikki, who's studying for the bar, got away from the books, and we sat down together for a family meal so that they could remember their years at Cary Academy. If you ask my daughters today, more than a decade after they each graduated, what they remember most fondly about their experience at Cary Academy, they won't talk to you about buildings, or projects, or tests, or homework. Like most of the young folks who have come through the hallways of our school, what they remember is you, their faculty. You, the people, their family at Cary Academy. So instead of giving you a continuation of a timeline of how Cary Academy has grown and changed over the years, I thought you'd like to hear some of the recollections that they shared with me. They both recalled something called the shaker dance. And that Mr. Hall is an expert at it. I don't know if Mr. Hall is here tonight. If you are, wave. The dance is apparently a sight to see. I am told that Nikki's class learned to dance it along with him at his AP US History class in 2005. If you haven't seen Mr. Hall do the shaker dance, make sure you stop him in the hallway and ask him to show you how to dance it, okay? Allie and Nikki remember that Mr. Snively founded both Cast News and the Movie Club. He helped them become reporters and newscasters from the very beginning of the school. These little kids, who remember, sending them out with video cameras to interview their subjects with a banana as their makeshift microphone. And that he taught them how to edit and to put together an entire newscast. Most notably, he introduced kids to the great genius of Alfred Hitchcock. And I can attest that after watching Psycho, his students never thought of taking a shower the same way again. Allie, who graduated in '04, still recalls a day in which her class was taking an exam in Bill Belto's class. Mr. Belto, she says, suddenly burst into laughter and interrupted their test in order to share with them a funny portion of a paper he was grading for another class. It read, Ferdinand Magellan was the first explorer to circumcise the globe. Or she meant circumnavigate, right? She's never forgotten that. She must have been 13 years old. Talk about sex education and history class. My daughters remember Victor Quesada asked the teacher who made them memorize lyrics and to sing along to the latest Latino pop songs as a way to not only teach them the language, but also the culture of their Latino contemporaries. Shakira, Enrique Iglesias, Paulina Rubio, and many other Latin singers became as popular in school as Britney Spears and the Backstreet Boys. But truth be told, Victor was also responsible for the 8 long years during which our entire family, including my husband Luis, was hooked to the latest telenovela or Latin soap opera, all so that Al and Nikki could learn conversational Spanish. My girls still talk about Katie Allen's anatomy class and about how they named their cats before they dissected them. In fact, Nikki still remembers that hers was called, and the accent is hers, the group made it up, Juan the Pretty Kitty. In fact, Katie forever changed dinner conversations around our family table and unknowingly prepared us for the day when Alessandra started dental school and came home to share the details of her dissection of cadavers during mealtime while we ate steak without us even flinching at the mention of severed body parts. Glenn Matthews is responsible for Nikki speaking Yiddish in her daily life after the production of Fiddler in the Roof. Oy vey and mazel tov are still part of her lexicon today. She calls the experience one of the most beautiful of her life and says that she will never forget the year when she was Jewish. We still don't know how Mr. Rushing managed to convince Nikki, who is scared of spiders, to join the reptile club. But she did, and she now loves snakes. It's actually quite frightening when she sees one in the garden and she wants to go touch it before she knows whether it's safe or not. And by the way, she still hates spiders. And Allie will never forget how grown up she felt when she introduced Carol Hamilton to the book East of Eden, which Carol had never read before, or how they would exchange books to read after school and during the summer. We miss her greatly. She was very special for our family. Nikki says that Mr. Follett and Germán Urioste are 2 of the reasons why she became an English major in college. And we all think of Cindy Laughlin with particular fondness. Not only was she the very first person we met when we moved to Cary, the day we registered in elementary school back in 1994, but 3 years later, she was the first to welcome my daughters to Cary Academy. Cindy, my girls will tell you, made them feel safe and nurtured in their new school. And they both think of Lynn Fountain as their surrogate aunt and look forward to coming back to school for the holiday shop every year just so they can give her a hug. Nikki says that she will never forget how Margot Smith always found an excuse to blast the music to Les Miserables during mixed media class. And Alice still laughs when she recalls that Jocelyn Todd used to erupt in perfect Spanish and say Santa Vaca each time something exciting happened in her science class. For those of you who don't know what it means, it is the translation of holy cow. And something that in Spanish you really don't hear. But it was perfect. They recall a time when Palmer Seeley, who is now their fellow Davidson alum, was regarded by most of the kids as the perfect doppelganger for Jesus. And they both remember that Troy Weaver had the most beautiful singing voice. Dr. Greenwolf, to whom I owe a huge apology for unwittingly calling him Dr. Beowulf many times. Always made class fun for them because, as the girls said, he brought physics to life, such as when they made their own circuit to make a light bulb function. They tell me that they will never forget their school spirit and the camaraderie during sports games and competitions that built a strong Cary Academy community. In fact, I could go on and share stories, and those are only 2 of your students, 2 of your alums. Imagine multiplying them for the 1,500 students that have come through the hallways of Cary Academy. What I'm trying to tell you is that all you do matters to our children. Not only the academics you teach them, but also the good, the fun, and the laughter. So many of the things that seemed unimportant back then still remain fresh in their memories years later. You know, all the time you spend working, preparing for class on the weekends, or listening to your students and answering their unending questions. Well, sometimes those things seem like they're not appreciated, but none of your efforts will be wasted. Each one of you will matter to your students long after they leave your classroom. Many years after they have moved on from Cary Academy, they will still remember that time when you stayed after school to help them understand class material, or when you lent an ear or gave them a second chance during a difficult day. They'll remember that you cared enough to guide them in the right direction, whether it was a time when you helped them literally to find their way around campus, or that day when you helped them discover the perfect college. Years later, and even if you don't remember, they will still recall with exactitude that you were there to witness their aha moment that changed their destinies. Yes, they'll remember their years at Cary Academy with fondness, but mostly, they'll remember you. As we look back through the past 20 years of Cary Academy, know that you're still the main reason that parents and children love our school. Soon, you will meet a new generation of Cary Academy students, and I must confess, I envy them the time they'll spend in your classrooms. On behalf of your board of directors, of all of your Cary Academy students, past and present, and their parents, thank you for these first 20 years, and mostly, thank you for the memories.